Open the podcast doors, Hal.
It's Kubrick's universe, the Stanley Kubrick Podcast.
Hey everyone, on behalf of our producer Stephen Rigg and myself, Jason Furlong, we welcome you back to the Kubrick's Universe podcast. In 2021, our good friend David Constantine reached out to Stephen with exciting news. He was heading to Texas to meet Shelley Duvall, the wonderful actress famous for her portrayal of Wendy Torrance in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. David has a unique project where he travels to meet cast and crew from Kubrick's films, collecting their signatures on his impressive coffee table book, The Stanley Kubrick Archives by Taschen. Stephen suggested that David record the meeting and conduct an informal interview with Shelley. David agreed, and in December 2021, he and his nephew Joe drove to Texas to meet Shelley at a local restaurant in her hometown. Shelley Duvall, a Texas native, was discovered by director Robert Altman, who cast her in the black comedy Brewster McCloud in 1970, after being impressed with her vibrant performance. Despite initial hesitance to pursue acting, she continued to work with Altman, featuring in McCabe and Mrs. Miller and Thieves Like Us. Her breakthrough, though, came with Altman's Nashville in 1975, followed by critical acclaim for Three Women. She also played a wonderful supporting role in Woody Allen's Oscar-winning film Annie Hall. Duvall's prominence grew with her roles as Wendy in The Shining and Olive Oyl in Altman's Popeye, both released in 1980. She appeared in Terry Gilliam's Time Bandits, Tim Burton's short film Frankenweenie, and Fred Schapisi's Roxanne in 1987. In the latter half of the 1980s, she turned to TV production, creating and hosting shows like Fairy Tale Theater, Tall Tales and Legends, Nightmare Classics, and Shelley Duvall's Bedtime Stories. Throughout the 1990s, Duvall's acting roles became less frequent, but they did include parts in Steven Soderbergh's The Underneath and Jane Campion's The Portrait of a Lady. After Manna from Heaven in 2002, she stepped away from acting, only to return for her final role in The Forest Hills in 2023. Shelley was a remarkable actress, winning a Cannes Film Festival Award and receiving nominations for a BAFTA and 2 Emmy Awards. 4 of her films are preserved in the National Film Registry by the United States Library of Congress. On July 11th, 2024, Shelley sadly passed away due to complications from diabetes. The news of her passing deeply affected her fans and the film community. So today we want to share with you a recent conversation between Mark Lentz, Stephen Rigg, and David Constantine, where David recalls his memorable day with Shelley in Texas back in 2021. We also have the recordings from that wonderful meeting to share with you.
Well, I really enjoyed the interview. So glad you captured it as part of your visit to Shelley. That was
oh yeah, I'm glad you guys did it. Yeah, and it went from like lunch to like her car. So a lot of it was done at the table, and then she wanted to go to her car. So I think I got a little bit of the recordings in the car. But I would say like maybe 60% was at the restaurant, and then the last 40% was like at the car.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
Because
Yeah.
I was there for like 5 hours, 6 hours.
wow.
Mm.
Wait,
Yeah. I'll just start off from the beginning from what I remember. So I woke up in the morning. My family lives out in San Antonio. So I was driving out towards like this town called like, it was like near Blanco, because I guess she lived in Blanco. It's like this real small Texas town. And I was meeting up with her at a Mexican restaurant outside of Blanco. So I guess Blanco's was like probably like 45 minutes from San Antonio. So I woke up early, picked up my nephew, Joe Cisneros, who's 16, And he was like, "Oh, I'll come out and help out and hang out and film and be a part of it." And I was like, sweet. So we went to this town. I think we were supposed to meet at probably like around 11 a.m. And we got out early, got some coffee in this town. It was like real chill. And then got like a snack. And then we went to the Mexican restaurant. We got there and then she arrived maybe 10 minutes later in her car. And then we introduced ourselves. She was real sweet, very warm, very friendly. And we got out and then we walked and sat outside because she likes to smoke cigarettes. So I guess it was in case she maybe smoked, but I guess she just ended up smoking a cigarette later in the car. So yeah, that's how it started out.
So was it 6 hours with Shelley or 6 hours for the whole?
Yeah. So basically she got there about probably around noon and we left when the sun was down.
Oh, cool.
So it was already, it was probably around maybe 5 p.m., something like that, 5:30. The sun,
She was so generous with her time. And
yeah. And, it wasn't even really like we talked about her film career, bits and pieces here and there, good portions. But a lot of it was just we were just talking about everything. We talked about my son. We talked about the music was really cool, talking about music from when she would have been in her late teens, early 20s. We listened to Buffalo Springfield and how I said we listened to the Wendy from the Association. It was great.
yeah, I love that Wendy.
Yeah, she just started singing and her voice was amazing. It just gave you goosebumps because she sounded great.
Yeah, I love the quality of her voice in the recordings.
Well, one thing I did ask, because I'm a huge Beatles fan, and I was always wondering, because I had saw Vivian Kubrick had posted something about George Harrison coming on set. And I was like, oh, who better to ask than Shelley Duvall? And that was one of the questions in the back of my mind. And I had asked her, I said, do you ever recall George Harrison coming on set, particularly when you guys shot the ballroom scene with the ghosts around? And she said that she couldn't recollect if he did come on set because she was crying her eyes out most of the time. So maybe it was around when she was trying to get in character and whatnot when those scenes were shot. I found it interesting to ask her that, but yeah, Vivian had remembered him coming to set, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that's a really good point. She had to kind of be in an altered state pretty much every day. And it would be like interrupting Robert De Niro when he was doing the Jake LaMotta movie.
Oh, right. Raging Bull. Yeah.
Yeah, Raging Bull. It would be hard for Shelley to have to socialize in the middle of what she was, the emotional state she had to be in.
Right.
That was a very good point I never thought of that you brought out. Well, tell us about your book project. How did this come about?
So back around 2019, I had just moved back to California with my now ex-wife and son. And there was another group member, Chaz Blankenship. He had got his Stanley Kubrick archives book made by Toshin, signed by some of the actors. I was like, man, that's a great idea. And then, so I got a copy, and then lo and behold, there was an event going on. It was for the release of Filmworker by Leon Vitali, his time with Stanley Kubrick, being a personal assistant for a number of years. And he was doing a screening with Full Metal Jacket at the Santa Monica theater. I forget the name of it. But it was a theater out in Santa Monica. And Matthew Modine was going to be there with him as a guest speaker. So got some friends and we went over and, to make a story short, we met Matthew, Leon, Adam Baldwin, and it was great. Had them sign the book, and it was kind of the start of a journey of meeting Kubrick actors and crew that worked with Stanley Kubrick. So to sign the book. And by the time Shelley came about, I believe she was the 18th person to sign it. So I had to find a way to get her to sign it. I contacted a gentleman named Ryan Obermeyer, and he knew Shelley pretty well and would see her. And he was real nice to set up a meeting with her. And that's how I had got a hold of her and met up with her.
How did you get the idea of contacting Shelley in the first place?
So a number of years I had been thinking about, like, I was like, oh, Shelley's in Texas and she lives kind of, from what I gathered, she didn't live too far from my folks. And it would just be like super awesome to get her to sign. And then I was just trying different sources, maybe even reach out to some people that live near the town. And I had just got a hold of Ryan by chance. I messaged him and he was just real friendly to help me in the journey of the book. And then on top of it, I was like, well, I might as well get some stuff signed for my friends. And I had like some like kind of like mini posters I got signed. So I got some stuff signed for my family and whatnot. So.
And this was back in what year? 2021?
So this would have been December of 2021.
And you actually contacted me at the time to see if I'd like something signing.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you knew that I was quite a Kubrick autograph collector. I've got quite a lot of autographs from, not on the archive book, but on various photographs and paperwork. So you contacted me and said, Steve, would you like me to see if I can get something signed for you? And I said, yeah, that'd be fantastic. And you did. You asked Shelley to sign a photograph for me, which is great. And that was around the time that I was doing the Kubrick's Universe podcast. And I said, I wonder if you could do an interview while you were there. And that's kind of how we ended up getting the recordings together, I guess.
Yeah.
The audio recordings. So we came up with a few questions to ask Shelley, and you managed to get through all those questions on the day, which was fantastic.
Right. That's right.
Well, let's see, you kind of told us about the day. Yeah, how did Joe feel about, how did he enjoy the day?
So, my nephew Joe, I think he was kind of blown away. This is like the first time he's ever done something like this. He's 16, and I had just spoke to him again recently with Shelley passing, and like all the memories started coming back into his mind. And he just said that like he really thanked her for being there, and he had a great time like throughout the whole time. And it took a while. Like I said, it was like we were there for hours on end, and he captured some excellent moments. Like it helps Shelley to her car, and he got a photo of that. It's just great memory.
Do you ever get nervous? Like, were you nervous about meeting Shelley or these celebrities?
Yeah. So Shelley, I was a little nervous, probably hence like you guys can hear on the interview. I was trying not to like over talk with her, but it was kind of more of, I was trying to keep like the pace going, because there was some kind of like with talking with her, there was some like kind of trailing off, and it got kind of quiet at times. So I was kind of thinking of new things, talk about and whatnot. And then she was eating some of the time too.
Right. Oh, was it a good Mexican restaurant?
Oh yeah, it was great. I had some chips and guacamole, and she was eating, but my mind was so set on like just focusing on her that we didn't even really eat. So we were starved when we were done, but yeah, she ate and she loved it. She picked the place out too. So I'm trying to remember the name of the place. It was just like by itself and like just like out in the countryside. So,
and then it was her suggestion to meet in a restaurant or yours?
So I was told by Ryan that she wanted to meet at the Mexican restaurant, that place. And she liked to go to Red Lobster as well. That was one of her favorite places. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to meet at this one. And so we were waiting in our car like for like 10 minutes. And then we saw Shelley pull up. We had got out and we had said hello and introduced ourselves. And she was real sweet, warm and friendly. And then we all walked up to the restaurant, and it had like a lot of outdoor seating, as you can probably see in the background of the photos. And we were all kind of like debating, should we sit outside? should we sit inside? And then she was like, well, I mean, you're going to be doing some interviewing and we're going to do some signing. Maybe we should get like a big table. And she like laughed and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this like kind of round table outside, this round looking table. So we sat in like kind of a secluded spot outside. And I think she asked like where we were coming from. And we had told her, and then started talking about food again. And that's kind of like where I had pulled out my phone and I was starting to like try to get like a voice memo up on recording on an iPhone.
Testing.
We can ask him. Let's do that.
So he did like a Clockwork Orange. Do you remember that?
No, I mean after the show.
Oh, after The Shining. Stanley did a Full Metal Jacket.
That was
And
before
like
the show.
that was after about 1987.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, about 87. That was with Matthew Modine, Arlie Ermey, and then he did Eyes Wide Shut.
That was right after us.
Eyes Wide Shut was the last one. It was about 1998, and then he passed away.
Well, I did The Portrait of a Lady with Nicole Kidman.
Oh wow!
And Tom Cruise was with her then.
Oh, so that's when they were still together then.
And then we were just kind of talking about the restaurant, talking about kind of foods we like.
Man, this guac is really good.
Fan stuffed jalapenos. I think I tried that once, though, and the jalapenos, they were at the time using fresh jalapenos. Those are really hot in Texas.
Yeah. You've ever had that ghost pepper? Yeah.
No, what
Ghost pepper is like one of the like highest like rated like chilies like on the planet. So like when some people eat it, they're like, ah, they're like that.
I've had the Thai green peppers
Uh-huh.
that they put in this wonderful coconut soup, but they forget to tell you,
Uh-huh.
don't eat the pepper.
Oh.
And it is the hottest pepper I ever
Oh wow.
had, and it swelled my lips like
Oh.
immediately.
Oh.
They were just, yeah, I mean, and I'm from Texas.
Mhm.
But that was in LA.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Were you already here when I drove in?
We were here for a few minutes. Yeah. Just hanging out. We had got coffee just prior over in the Wimberley, I think is right, is the name of the town. Yeah. Went to like Cypress Coffee. Have you been there? Really cool, like artsy kind of style coffee shop. I was like, sweet.
That's great. What are you going to have?
I think I'm okay with chips and guacamole right now. Yeah. I'll probably get a coffee though. What about you, man?
How about you?
I think I'm okay too. I ate earlier.
What about you?
You guys should have told me.
No worries. Yeah, we're here for it. This is great. We're enjoying ourselves.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
Okay. So we have Miss Shelley Duvall here. Thank you for coming out today. It's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
All right. So can you tell us how you got into acting back in the 1970s? Like the films that you did with Robert Altman and Woody Allen's Annie Hall?
All right. For Brewster McCloud, it was that was the first film I was ever in. And I had an ingenue credit, and introducing. And that was the first role I ever played.
Wow.
And I hadn't had any acting training, so.
I started racing to forget this guy I was in love with. His name was Bernard, and he was a really neat artist. He used to do etchings on cider bottles. Boy, was he a genius. He was beautiful, too. He had hair out to here. But his daddy was rich and made him cut his hair and go into politics. Evidently, he didn't get too far, though, because he's only a secretary. Anyway, the whole deal made me so mad, I broke every one of his cider bottles, especially the one he dedicated to me.
So was it like did you have like overall like really good experience with that first role?
Oh, yeah, it was wonderful.
Oh, wow.
I was just in heaven. I mean, the people were so nice, and Bud Cort and Sally Kellerman, and also Jennifer Salt and Michael Murphy.
Wow.
And John Shuck. There were just a lot of nice people in it.
Oh, how was Annie Hall?
Annie Hall was great. It was just fantastic. I was only there 2 days. Thanks. I was only there a couple of days.
Oh, okay.
But I played sort of rock and roll reporter doing an interview.
I think there are more people here to see the Maharishi than there were to see the Dylan concert. I covered the Dylan concert, which gave me chills, especially when he sang, "She takes just like a woman, and she makes love just like a woman. Yes, she does. And she aches just like a woman, but she breaks just like a little girl." Up to that, I guess the most charismatic event I covered was Mick's birthday when the Stones played Madison Square Garden.
That's great. That's just great.
You catch Dylan?
Me? No. I couldn't make it. My raccoon had hepatitis.
You have a raccoon?
Few.
The only word for this is transplendent. It's transplendent.
I can think of another word.
He's God. I mean, this man is God. He's got millions of followers who would crawl all the way across the world just to touch the hem of his garment.
Yeah, must be a tremendous hem.
I'm a Rosicrucian myself.
Are you?
Yeah.
I can't get with any religion that advertises in popular mechanics. Look, there's God coming out of the men's room.
It's unbelievably transplendent. I was at the Stones concert in Altamont when they killed that guy, remember?
Yeah, were you? I was at an Alice Cooper thing where 6 people were rushed to the hospital with bad vibes.
And every time I would look at Woody, we were at first at Yankee Stadium, and then we had a scene in bed together, if you miss.
I hope you don't mind that I took so long to finish.
No, don't be silly. You know, I'm starting to get some feeling back in my jaw now.
And every time I would look, and his glasses were bifocals, but they're special glasses that make his eyes so big. And every time I look, I just giggled. I couldn't. But I think it's a normal reaction.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of Woody Allen. I mean, I had seen all his films to date.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoy his work.
Oh.
He makes me laugh. He makes me cry. You know, as a director, he was just wonderful. Great to work with.
Right on.
And my big line from that movie, Annie Hall, was, "Having sex with you is really a Kafkaesque experience."
Sex with you is really a Kafkaesque experience.
Oh, thank you.
I mean that as a compliment.
What a
I had
line.
to ask Woody at that time. I was only in my 20s. And I had to ask Woody what Kafkaesque meant.
Oh, did he explain it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, he did. It would have been funny if he just made you think, you know?
No, but I hadn't read it.
Oh. Yeah, Kafka was something.
Did you see in that movie, what was it, Independence Day or something? Where that the library and everything is flooded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
And they were going to burn Kafka, a book, an antique book.
Uh-huh.
And one guy saves it. He says, "Not my Kafka."
That's funny. Yeah, I remember that Metamorphosis was one of his most famous ones. That book was a trip. Where the guy wakes up and he's like a cockroach in bed, and they're knocking on the door, and he's trying to close the door.
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
But
Bizarre.
then there's that Gary Larson cartoon.
Uh-huh.
Do you like Gary Larson books?
The Far Side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Far Side's amazing.
I had 5 of them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they're funny.
I don't know where they went.
Yeah.
You know, in the moving process,
Yeah, lose a lot of stuff.
a lot of things get lifted.
Yeah, definitely. And then with that commute too, from the west to the south, I moved twice from the west to the east, cross country, and it was a trip.
So I guess we were talking, and she mentions about Paul. And I knew for a fact that she was with Paul Simon before, and they had a relationship for like a few years, from what I gather.
I read The Shining. I hadn't read any of the other books by Stephen King.
I didn't know that she was talking about Paul at the time.
Paul was at the recording studio, and he came home. And he snuck in and crept up behind me and grabbed me by the shoulders. I was on the couch facing away from the front door, and it was like... I was only like a couple of paragraphs away from finishing the book.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
That was one scary book. Oh, I got mad at him. I was like, yeah, why'd you do that? And he jumped out of my skin.
Wow.
And anyway, I liked that Wendy was Survivor.
Yeah, definitely. She reminded me a lot of like Ripley from like Alien. I know it's, obviously different stories, but very similar, like, and a strong woman.
Oh, a person not necessarily strong.
Yeah. I guess endurance, I guess.
It was an endurance test.
Yeah. But did you know about Stanley's films prior to The Shining?
I had seen 2001.
Oh, 2001. Yeah. What was your thoughts on 2001, Space Odyssey?
Space Odyssey. Oh, it was very popular in Houston.
Uh-huh.
And I think just about everybody that worked at NASA saw it. But so did everybody else.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of the most popular films. It's one of the things that really got me interested in filmmaking.
Mm-hmm. Was 2001?
Well, it's just because something I know about. I mean, I looked at people.
Yeah, definitely.
And places. And my favorite books were reference books.
Yeah.
Encyclopedias.
Yeah. World Atlas, I guess, would have been on the shelf. Yeah. Wow.
National Geographic.
Oh, yeah.
And antique illustrated books. Like The Queen of Romagna.
Oh, yeah. Sounds familiar. Let's see.
East of the Sun and West of the Moon.
That sounds so familiar. I gotta look this up. Easton's? Okay, cool. So it's a very broad question here, but what was it like working with Stanley on The Shining?
The material was very difficult.
Uh-huh.
That character would be crying a lot.
Uh-huh.
Per Stanley, he wanted everything to be heightened, I think, to like Jack's performance too. In the LA Times, they said it was kind of a Mephistopheles role. And he got great reviews. And he was so scary.
Oh, Jack?
Yes. And he came up with that one liner that was like when he was axing down the door.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The Wendy.
Yeah.
But he said, "Here's Johnny." And that was
so iconic.
The cover photo too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they made that. How many times did you guys shoot that scene?
Oh, I don't know. Too many to count.
Oh, wow.
But it was great. It's just that they had to change. Remember, they had to change the doors to
reset, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, to reset, yeah.
So there was a lot of reset time.
Yeah. And then is there a scene that you can recall that you remember that you guys shot the most of? Like redoing it?
Walking into the gold ballroom had more takes than any, I think.
Wow.
I don't know if Scatman and Danny may have beat that record. With that intimate talk about, which was wonderfully acted, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Me and my grandma, we used to have entire conversation without ever saying a word.
Yeah. Oh, wow. How was your relationship with Scatman?
Great. He was really nice, and he was a wonderful chess player.
Oh, and so he probably played Stanley
he played
then.
Stanley between takes.
Oh, wow.
Stanley didn't want to go back to work. He wanted to finish finish his move.
Oh. So when Stanley would play chess, like on like The Shining, like when you guys would have like a shooting day, would you guys just kind of just relax when he was playing chess?
Sort of in between takes during lighting but most of the time we stood in for our own lighting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Huh.
You know what Stanley said once?
What was it?
He said, but nobody's face lights like yours. I said, all right. What are those spices in it? Do you know? The little green
not
things?
Sure, no. I'm not sure what the cooks put in it in the bag.
Yeah, those secret ingredients.
Hey, as long as it tastes good, right? No.
I like to put it on these chips. And it's good to have something warm sitting out here.
Did you and Stanley ever have like conversations in between takes? Just like you and him?
Oh, sure, for a long time.
What's some of the stuff like you guys would talk about? That you would like to share?
The film.
Oh.
Acting. How would Robert Altman do it? He did, yes.
Oh, he did?
The first day there. And he said, tell me, how would Robert Altman set the scene up? I said, Stanley. I don't know. Everything different. No, we talked about it really. Like I wanted to know the order in which Bob set things up.
Right.
Just the principles, for rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
But also setting it up for lighting. And it was just a nice, quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
Stanley spent a lot of time with us, Jack and I, for the scenes that, like, Danny wasn't in. Because for Danny, that was a very strenuous role.
How was Danny like on set?
It was his first movie.
Was Danny like pretty well behaved on set?
Oh, yeah. Except for one time he put a snowball down my blouse. At the neck and in the back.
Uh-huh.
It went all down my back. But it was Epsom salts.
Oh, the fake snow, yeah.
I itched the rest of it.
Oh. Yeah. Was he like laughing and stuff?
Oh, he thought it was just so funny, but he was only 4 or something like.
Oh yeah, he was real young.
Or maybe he was 5. He was a very nice, very well behaved kid.
Oh,
and he had a dialogue coach and everything.
So wow, that's really good. Yeah, I saw on the making of Leon Vitali was with him a lot.
Mm-hmm. Lord Bullington.
Yep. Did you ever had conversations with like Leon? Did you talk a lot with Leon on set too?
I usually do everything by myself, but
I
do like to rehearse the lines, which is often done with the script supervisor. When Danny was working, Leon was busy with him. And there wasn't a dialogue coach hired for me, because I don't use a dialogue coach, nor do I have an implant. What they used to call them in rock and roll is earwigs.
Oh, earwigs.
I don't want any bugs in my ears.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to show you. Let's see if I have signal here. Do you remember this gentleman right here that played in the bear costume?
No.
Or the dog costume in that scene?
No, because it was sort of a closed set because of the nature of the scene.
Oh, okay.
Danny was not invited to the set.
Oh, right. Yeah, and then
I wasn't in that.
Oh, is it because the camera pans to him, so you would have been almost like a different day then, I would imagine, right?
The show was shot, they just wanted to cover all their bases.
Uh-huh.
Wendy going down the hallway and being startled by seeing 2 guys in costumes having sex.
Right. So you never conversed with 2 actors
Not
here?
Bear asked.
Yeah.
No nudity.
Right. It's like one of those sudden moments.
Except for Jack with the woman from the past, the dead lady.
Oh, right.
What was the German actress's name?
I think she was, I forgot her name.
And she was really nice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I heard she was like a model. Like she did modeling and they had found her through that. Like a talent agency for modeling. So like if you had an interpretation of like Wendy's shine ability when you see skeletons and cobwebs in the blood, you know, that scene with the elevator, what would you say your interpretation of her shine is? Like, could she see that stuff, like the character? When she saw like the blood coming out of the elevator? Do you think that she had like a shine ability like how Danny had?
You mean Wendy?
Right.
The character? No, because it was real.
Yeah.
Apparently somebody was storing things away.
Oh, right. I guess the Overlook Hotel had it was like memories in a book.
Sewing it.
Right. And do you remember about the fire that burned down the set?
I didn't see it happen, but I ran up to my dressing room, got my puppy, my pet, and because a pair of parakeets, budgies.
Oh.
And the first AD got really angry with me. Or was it the second AD? So come on, Shelley, hurry up. Give me the dog, give me the cage, and you just follow me. So suddenly, dark gray smoke hit us. You couldn't see.
Oh, wow.
But I could see the light of the door.
Uh-huh.
Jack's dressing room and my dressing room were right at the top of the stairs, and we just went down and around out.
Oh, wow.
The smoke was very thick, very quickly. I'm so glad I got my pets out.
Yeah. Oh, so your pets were with you the whole time you were filming?
No, I bought them in London.
Oh.
I was there over a year.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's been a nice thing to go back to when you're done working.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever take like photos on set? Like when you were filming? Well, when you weren't working, like in between takes.
No, I think Vivian took care of that.
Oh, yeah. Right. Did you ever watch her documentary that she filmed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they have it on YouTube. It's almost like an hour long.
Is Fuck Off Vivian still in there?
I think so.
She was 16 years old, and she would come up right up to your face with the camera like this close. And it's like, Vivian, we're doing a really difficult scene for me, and I'd really rather not do an interview in between takes.
Yeah. I guess it places you out of the moment too, because your mind's like,
I need to focus.
Yeah.
And finally, she wouldn't quit. Finally, I just said, fuck off.
Oh.
Yeah, Jack had already done that. Oh. He already told her. But all the guys, of course, always thought, Jack's funny.
Yeah.
Come on, Vivian. However you said it. He has that, he just has a wonderful knack for...
Yeah. Would he crack a lot of jokes on set?
Not really.
Oh.
But he's humorous. They're not actually, it's not stand-up. It's not shtick.
Right. He's a natural.
Yes, he's really good. It's just great, Jack. There's just nobody else like him in film, I think.
Yeah.
If you find anyone that is, let me know, will you? Because I've never seen anybody like that.
When was the last time you talked to Jack?
It's been a long time. He must have moved away.
Yeah, I think he lives in, I think he's in LA still.
But it got to where he couldn't eat. He couldn't go anywhere. He had to just stay at home a lot with his friends, his close friends.
Yeah.
I heard him and Stanley got along really well. They hit it off pretty good. Kept in contact, and
I think Stanley was fascinated by Jay.
Is
As everybody, the entire crew was.
Oh, he's a unique one. Can you tell us about the scene that you shot in the hospital, which was later removed from the film?
The scene in the hospital.
It was like a cut ending scene where you went in the hospital with you were with Danny, and Ullman comes, and there's like a ball that rolls to Danny, like the spirits are still alive, kind of a thing.
Oh,
it was a scene that was cut.
Probably because it was for Vivian.
Oh, maybe, huh? There was some
shot more footage than Stanley.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think it was like an ending that wasn't approved because the original ending with the overlook coach, the photo, the zoom in on the photo. I guess it was a scene after that, or it was like it replaced it. And then I think you're sitting in the like a bed, and then Danny's with you and telling about like the horrors of what happened and stuff at the overlook. Actually, I even have photos of it if you wanted to see.
If you have it, yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, definitely. If not, I could pull them up.
It's been a long time.
Right, definitely. Oh, did you want to order like a meal or something? Yeah, feel free to.
Well, I can get it when we finish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure thing.
But yeah, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, definitely. I should have came prepared with the photo here. I'm going to pull it up right now. They actually, I think the only surviving material is like some Polaroids. See, there's Ullman right here. There's like Danny and the nurse.
What is this?
So you're sitting like on a hospital bed there.
I don't know. I don't.
Let me tell my buddy to bring up the Polaroids because the Polaroids show more.
Oh, you're fast.
Yeah.
You have a lot of practice.
Yeah, well, like I remember.
That is the best. It was like being in typing class, and it was mostly girls, and the girls would all have these long, really long nails, and they go. They didn't even look. They didn't even look at the typewriter, or the Selectric or whatever it was, and they're just looking around.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, how do they do that? I can't do it.
Yep.
Needless to say, I didn't take another typing course. Yeah. I'm not a speed typist.
Yeah, typewriters are, because I know you got to punch them down harder too. And then they're like heavy.
Yeah, in the old days, those old-fashioned typewriters, I don't know how they did it, but it had a good feeling to it.
Oh, I guess those are the same photos. Yeah, and then there's like somebody like, it's like the twins, like the spirits of the Greedy twins.
Oh, yeah.
They roll down a ball like in the hallway, and then the movie ends. So it's like they're still around, like, hey, you know what I mean?
That's great.
It's like a loss.
It's sort of like listening to Drew Barrymore going, "They're out."
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of the twins?
No, that's Vivian.
No.
That's a Polaroid.
Later.
That's a Polaroid taken from set. And then there's somebody took one of you smoking out the window.
Oh, it looks like a refrigerator.
Yeah, that was right, the bathroom and then the fake snow.
You're
right?
moving there. There's a reflection.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that better? And then there's Jack and Stanley in the storage room. And then somebody took one of Danny in the hallway there.
Oh, that's great. Danny on his tricycle is a very popular one.
Oh, yeah, right. That's right. Vivian had tweeted on Twitter that she said George Harrison was on set. Do you remember that?
I remember him being at the hotel to see me, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that wasn't the set.
Oh, he didn't go to set? Huh.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I guess because you were with Ringo at the time, right?
Seeing him, yeah.
Right, seeing Ringo, right?
Yeah, he was fun, nice person.
He was cool. So
and
how
we had friends in common.
Oh, cool. But did Ringo ever go to the Shining set when you were working?
If they did, they didn't want to disturb me.
Oh.
Or anything. I mean, I had to cry all day, every day.
Oh, right.
Not every day, but,
Yeah.
after the film gets going, after that initial introduction to the Overlook, things get intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the pace picks up.
Mm-hmm.
God, I can't believe that's Vivian. What other films has she done now? Is her sister also a filmmaker?
No, Katerina, I don't think she does films from what I know. There was, she had 2 sisters.
Oh, God.
And then, yeah. I think,
Stanley had all girls?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I think, Katerina.
Well, Stanley and Chris Young. Let's her out of it.
Yeah, I think, Katerina was from. So we were talking about something, and we're outside in Texas, and we have all this food out, and all of a sudden this little bee comes over on the table, and it went into my nephew Joe's face, and he didn't try to swipe it. I think he just kind of moved his head, and Shelley looked over and stopped what we were talking about and said, "Oh, that's one of those angel bees." And she started talking about how she calls them angel bees because it's like they kind of stand on their 2 legs and they look like angels. And I had thought that was really interesting that she calls these bees angel bees, but it was it was a nice Shelley touch.
No, I mean, the bees around here,
they're friendly.
They just look. There's also these little angel bees.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call them. They don't sting. They don't have I don't think they even have a stinger. I haven't seen one. And the bees, they'll just fly up to you. They're only about this tall.
Oh, wow. They're small.
And they fly up to you, look at you. They'll even move around. Yeah. And then they fly away.
Oh, that's nice.
And they stand upright like an angel.
Oh.
They stand upright. They fly like this.
Yeah.
They're maybe they ate hummingbird food.
Oh, it could be. He might be wired. He probably got some of that guacamole. Probably tasting some of that good stuff.
Well, they like all kinds of things. There's these tiny little wildflowers that you can barely even see the flower on. And even hummingbirds go to them.
Oh.
The people would just call them weeds. But without those, there wouldn't be hummingbirds.
Right.
And they're tall. They're about this tall. And they have a little lavender flower. Very, very, very small. After a rain, they all come and drink out of it.
Oh, wow.
I spend a lot of time now watching
That's
nature.
amazing.
It's a great education.
Oh, yeah. Animals are amazing.
You just have to be very quiet to...
Yeah. We were driving back from my dad's house. He lives out in Bandera, and he has some land, and the deers just sit on the side by the road, and they just watch you. You can roll down the window. Hey, how you doing? And they just stare at you. Yeah. So awesome. You probably see deer all the time too, I'd imagine.
I feed them every day.
Oh, you feed them? They come up to you?
One eats out of my hand.
That's amazing.
The others don't, but they all come to the fence.
Oh,
it's
so sweet.
Do you have anything? Is it here yet?
We're waiting.
They know different brands of bread.
Oh.
Yeah. They know the difference by the mark, the colors on the bags and the design of the bag.
Oh. That's funny.
They know whether it's Nature's Own or Buttercrust or any of the brands, Mrs. Baird's.
Yep. Hill Country one.
So I don't have the money to get them bales of hay.
Yeah.
Well, those big bales are I don't know, over $125 a piece.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what they're costing now, but that was back in the 90s.
Oh, the big round ones?
The big rounds.
Yeah.
But it's getting more and more difficult to find really good hay.
Yeah.
That doesn't have people's, feminine deodorant spray on it.
Yeah, the chemicals and stuff. Yeah.
From too many people taking a roll on the hay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's got so much a problem with the desiccants.
Mm-hmm.
And when people dump, they don't understand how really bad it is.
Right.
Because what starts out going on the hay also winds up in your rivers and lakes.
Right.
And we need to make sure that that's not happening.
Definitely. Take care of the land.
It won't be long before we're looking kind of like those deadwood trees.
Yeah, definitely.
Look what they had to do to protect these.
Yeah.
Oh.
The build around them, right?
Oh, it's amazing.
Definitely nicer. So you followed The Shining with another Altman film, Popeye. What was your experience with your first musical and working with Robin Williams?
Musical. Oh, right.
With Popeye?
I forgot, yeah. Yes, it was great. Just wonderful.
Oh.
And the the chairman of the insurance company came to visit and say hello and to meet Popeye and Sweet Pea and all of them. The whole cast of characters that we were. And he said, well, Miss Duvall, when I woke up, he says, looks like you're having a much better time on this movie than you did on the last.
Oh, wow.
No, because I was crying.
Oh, right. Yeah, from The Shining, yeah. I guess everybody had seen it, obviously, as well.
Yeah. So they were all very happy. And that set is beautiful.
Yeah.
They've still got it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
It's still there.
Wow.
And
where did you guys film? Like, what area?
On an island in the middle of the Mediterranean.
Wow.
Which is a very sort of, was maybe a xenophobic after being the most heavily bombed island during World War II. And yet, one end is all the old buildings. Beautiful, beautiful old buildings. And I think it was probably where the Vatican was born.
Oh, wow.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Is that it's actually where the Vatican was born.
Uh-huh.
All those stories about Noah's Ark, everything that's...
Oh, you mean like the origins over there?
It's there, all right.
Yeah. That's a trip.
One island is called Gozo. It's not even an island, it's an atoll.
Yeah.
But all of those were places that, where the ships stopped for the animals to go to the bathroom, I guess. Or
yeah,
before they got to the Colosseum. The Colosseum.
Are you talking about like back in ancient times?
Where they were fighting,
right.
Whatever they could, the animals, they fought lions and tigers,
right,
bears, whatever they could bring in. That must have been a scary time to be alive.
I'd imagine. That's another Kubrick film, Spartacus.
Oh, my God. Was it Spartacus?
Yeah, with the Colosseum.
Well, which one was it that he directed the last half of?
Yeah, so Shelley was talking about Stanley's early career, and I had realized she was talking about Spartacus, and then I was like, oh, you know about his earlier films.
No, it was when he was a student, I think.
Oh,
like
it might have been.
His first film was like Killer's Kiss.
Killer's Kiss, and then Fear and Desire was like the one he shot in the San Gabriel Mountains, and he was really young.
And before that, though, it was there was another one.
Mm-hmm. There was
it was called Killer something.
The Killing.
The Killing.
Maybe The Killing
it was.
Yeah.
That was
Sterling Hayden.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, and James Harris was his producer.
I mean, Sterling Hayden that's a wild man.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you see him in Robert Altman's film, Play It As It Lay?
I didn't know. And
in the movie, he just walks out to the ocean, doesn't come back.
Oh, wow.
On a storm.
Oh, wow.
during the storm. It's a very powerful ending. John Huston liked those kind of movies too.
Yeah.
No wonder Angelica is like great friends with Jack.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Allegra.
Yeah. Did you ever see like Dr.
You even eat your guacamole.
I know, you need some more. It was really good. I'm all caught up with talking.
It's good guacamole. I want one to go.
You can have some of this one too if you want.
Cheese dip.
You can dig in. Then with some of like Monty Python and Terry Gilliam's Time Bandits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was right after Popeye.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I got a call like 3 days before we were supposed to finish shooting thing, or 2 days before. It was, Hi, it's Terry Gilliam. Hi. And he said, doesn't want to do a film now. And he said, I said, oh no. I was at, just, it was over a year on The Shining. And I was so looking forward to going back to LA after many years, because I lived in New York a couple of years, then went to do The Shining. Then had to go to Malta in the middle of the Mediterranean for 6 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That was Popeye.
Yep.
And then Terry calls. And I thought, oh no, a whole movie. No, it was just a cameo role. I said, oh, God. And he said, Sean Connery's in it. And what do you mean Sean Connery's in it? He said, yeah. But anyway, when I got there, I didn't have any scenes with Sean Connery. Not a one.
Oh, bummer.
That's okay. I had lots of scenes with one of my favorite people in the Monty Python group, and that was Michael Palin.
Oh, Sir Vincent, you came for me.
Oh, good Mistress Pansy. I could not have ridden faster. 4 horses have I exhausted this day for nothing.
Oh, the way you leapt to my chamber. So full of manliness.
I could scarce restrain the rushing of my feet. These 12 long years have been like chains that bound me.
Oh. And the personal problem?
Oh, much, much better.
Did you see his adventure series?
No, I haven't.
Touring the world.
I have to check it out.
He's such a wonderful guy. He really is. And Terry Gilliam, he's like an amazing, crazy artist. Watch out, though.
How was he?
He was trying to teach a dwarf how to do a stunt fall. And Terry jumped right on me.
Oh.
And weighed a lot.
Oh.
And landed at the top of my spine.
Oh.
You should have heard the chorus.
Oh, you don't have to wear the special.
No, I don't have to wear the special anymore. Oh, Pansy. No more worries now. Pansy.
Was in this huge soundstage, and guys at the opposite end of the soundstage said, we heard that. Loud and clear. It was my spine.
Were you okay?
Courage. Luckily, it was the last scene, and they sent me directly to an osteopath. So,
oh, that's good. Oh, wow.
No, it was just a really bad timing. Michael and I were sitting on the floor rehearsing. Where the stagecoach has turned over. Well, the carriage has turned over, and I have, we're in costume. Oh boy, that was one hard hit.
Oh, I guess it's a pretty wild memory.
But it was a really good movie. And it had all, the costumes were unbelievable. And the Titanic, after that, James Cameron must have looked him up.
Alone at last.
Isn't it glorious?
Yes, I love the ocean. God, how I love her. She's so damn...
Wet.
Wet, yes. Yes, so damn wet. Pansy. Pansy, look at me.
Yes, Vincent.
Do you love me?
Of course I love you.
You don't mind the thing on the end of my nose?
Oh, you mean your...
Yes, my...
No, darling. Don't be silly.
Could you share a house with a chap who has a thing like this on the end of his nose?
Of course, my love. Everyone has something odd about them.
Yes.
Well, I've got an enormous...
Pansy! Pansy, I'm so glad you feel the way you do. Because now I can ask you what I've always wanted to ask you.
Oh, ask me. Ask me.
Pansy, will you... Will you...
I got the idea she liked going, she's a moviegoer. She liked contemporary films. Same as
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. She said she would still see movies and stuff.
And then, of course, let's not forget Jodie Foster. And what was the one about the lake and her sister drowns and she doesn't?
I can't recall that one. You said it was one about in the lake?
Is it called Nell?
Yeah.
Oh, good. That was quick. You're fast on the draw.
Jodie Foster Lake. I just said Nell.
Nell, wow.
Nell was a wonderful film. I mean, it's scary. I
Wow.
wonder how many kids went through that, you know,
Yeah.
if their parents died or if their parents didn't come home
Uh-huh.
anymore. Or,
Sounds like a good movie, though.
it was really good.
Huh.
Jodie Foster's done some great films. And then Contact.
Contact was
You
amazing.
like that one?
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, no, you have
You gotta see it, man.
that
It's
one.
good.
I'll watch it.
Yeah. I think
That one's really, really good.
I think Carl Sagan had something to do with it. I think he wrote the book. Have you watched anything recently?
Pale Blue Dot.
Yeah, Pale Blue Dot. That's right. And Cosmos. Yeah. You see anything good recently?
Do you know that I haven't seen a film except for a couple of them on TV in 25 years,
Oh wow,
20 years?
wow. Is it just
No, it wasn't a personal decision.
Oh, gotcha.
It was, what do you do when the TV hurts you?
Yeah, gotcha.
Can we order a guacamole for me
Yeah,
to
yeah.
take home?
Yeah, of course. That stuff's good.
Or maybe I don't know, seafood gumbo?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have time to watch a lot of movies lately. I've just been going outside and going on hikes. That's fun.
Mm.
My son's 4 years old, so he loves to go exploring.
Brought a picture?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll show you. He's my sweet one. Let's see.
Oh, God, they're sure cute when they're that age, aren't they?
Yeah. Very adventurous.
What a pretty face.
Yeah.
Well, you said your mom's Korean, right?
She's yes, correct. Yeah, she's half or she's full Korean. She lives over there. That's him with my helmet.
Oh, it's
Benji.
cute.
His name's Benji.
That's a great name.
Yeah, Benjamin. Yeah. And then
Yeah, we had Benjamin Franklin in our family, too.
oh,
They used to do that all the time.
uh-huh.
Regularly, they would take on the name of a famous scientist or a president. And my grandfather's name is Benjamin Franklin Massengate.
That's a cool name though. Such
It
a
is
cool
really
name.
cool.
It's like Bartholomew or something. Yeah.
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
I like that she was
Yeah.
a Seinfeld fan.
Oh, yeah, she mentioned that Seinfeld as well.
Out in,
But she grew up with a camera in her hand.
right. I think she just lives out in Florida now. Just
Florida.
yeah.
With Seinfeld's parents.
Right.
You know that on Seinfeld, they always have those shows where they go to the parents of George,
Uh-huh.
George's parents, and Seinfeld's parents,
Yeah.
Ray's parents.
That's funny.
And they're all having fun in Florida. And they always invite this exercise guy over to So for their workouts and stuff.
That's funny.
And there was a funny part too where she was talking about that show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and she was all like, "What's that guy's name?" She's like, "It's Larry something," and I was like, "Oh, Larry David, that's right." And she goes, "Oh, Larry David." She's like, "A guy with two first names." Her sense of humor just was always great. It was always very comforting.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole time.
So she put you at ease. Yeah.
Very, very at ease. Very sweet.
That show has so many laughs. It's written, executive produced by the same guy that did the HBO series, Curb Your Appetite.
Oh, is it Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry?
Larry. What's his last name?
Larry
Beverly Hills. So is his series.
Larry David. That's his
Larry
name.
David, that's right.
There we go.
Two first names.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, Larry.
Oh, she told you the story about the guys in the car.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So she said that they had just wrapped with The Shining, and she was driving in Hollywood, and these guys had recognized her. They pulled to a light, and they recognized her in her car. She was getting a lot of recognitions, after the film was wrapped.
And they had one of those Chevys that bounced up and down.
Oh, like a lowrider. Yeah.
Yeah. And suddenly I looked, and it's like somebody said, before I looked, they said, "Hey, Shelley." No, they said, "Hey, Wendy." And I thought, oh no. And I looked over there, and it was the guys bumping the car down with a huge dice, furry dice.
Yeah.
Hanging from the rearview mirror. And they said, "Red Rum."
Oh.
Oh no. Oh no. I made sure they didn't follow me home.
Yeah.
The neighbors would have been afraid.
That's so funny. Did you guys have like a big rap party when you guys ended filming?
No, they didn't. And I was surprised. The Popeye party was at Paramount. It was a huge party.
Oh, wow.
It was on a big sound stage.
Oh, nice.
And they had it all lit up, like for a party. And
yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Nice. They had me and Robin Williams. And Paul Smith, who's a big star in Israel. He played Pluto.
Yeah, that's right. Pluto, yeah.
Disney threw the party with them.
Oh.
Because Disney bought the foreign distribution rights.
Uh-huh.
So we had Paramount domestically, and in Canada, I think. And then Disney distributed it in Europe. Because they have a very strong distribution. And people love Disney movies, of course.
Yeah.
What's the latest Disney film?
Latest one, I think it was probably that one my wife saw, which is kind of funny. So we got Encanto. I think that takes place in Colombia.
What's it called?
Encanto.
Oh. And what are those other ones?
We got Raya and the Last Dragon.
And what's this one?
Which one? That's the Encanto one.
Oh, okay.
And then Avatar. It's an older one.
I saw Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar. And then Encanto again. Soul and Luca. Yeah, Cruella. It's like the 101 Dalmatians. She's like the villain. Yeah, I actually found this right here. Do you remember this?
No, let's see.
So it was a scrapbook. And I guess these were given to the crew members.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, I've seen some of the photos. That was our script supervisor.
Oh, the picture in the middle. Yeah. Wow. Do you remember? I think that's Vivian right there.
It's great.
Oh, and I guess that's her again right there by Jack. That must have been easier, too, because he got to keep his real name for his role.
I know. So did Danny.
Oh, and Danny, too. So
Jack played Jack.
Yeah.
Danny played Danny. So what's with Shelley?
Oh, and Wendy. So, huh.
Like, even later on, when we were talking in her car, she's having a cigarette and we're talking and stuff. The owner of the restaurant came out and like knew her name and was asking like how she's been. And they talked for like a while and said hello to her and stuff. So she was definitely well loved by the places that she went to.
Hey, Shelley.
Hey,
girl, what are you doing?
This is.
I'm David.
Hi, David. Nice to meet
Appreciate
you. Good to... Mary. All right. Sorry.
So you do have purple hair. She said you had purple hair.
Yeah, I do have purple hair.
Yeah. He said, wife had purple hair. He says, no, she's the owner.
You say he's a busboy.
Yeah. How you doing, lady?
You look good.
Well, thank you. Well, good to see you.
You too. No, we just did an interview. You should see his book. You should look.
Yeah, it's made by like this German company, and they have like a bunch of detailed photos and production notes, Polaroids.
Very cool.
Oh, very cool.
It's really nicely done.
Shelley was saying she saw some stuff and was like, I've never seen this before. And
oh, that's good. That's
no, it's
yeah,
beautiful. Very well done.
Well, that's good.
I'm so impressed.
Well, very nice. Very nice.
And he had me sign some pictures, of course, me going,
yeah,
with a knife.
Yeah, right.
You know, they kept having me sign those.
Oh my God.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
Oh.
And they wanted me to sign knives. Oh, and also this other one, Alaskan Indian. And,
baseball bats and stuff, right?
yeah, but also knives, just like the one that Wendy carries in the film.
Yeah. The butcher's knife.
Yeah.
That was scary, the knife.
Oh, I can't imagine.
The floors were slick.
Yeah.
Oh.
The whole thing
was crazy. Well, I just want to come out and say hi.
I hate it.
Yes, you did.
That's what I like about Wendy, you know.
Oh, I know. She does.
Definitely.
She does.
Thank goodness for the snowcat.
Yeah. Oh, the thing that always just like, what's that little man that came to help? And then.
Oh, yeah, Danny.
Oh, I know.
I loved him.
Yeah.
He was so cute, little bow legs.
Yeah.
I know. He was great. He was really good.
Yeah.
He played Stanley Kubrick in Chef.
Oh, he did?
While we were waiting for lighting and stuff. Sometimes for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And, really.
Oh.
And Scatman.
Oh.
Stanley usually always does.
Yeah.
And it's always one fatal mistake. And he's always telling me, he says, you know what? It was very interesting. I can make that point. It's like, he tries to think ahead.
Oh, yeah. When that's what you're supposed to do. And I can't do it. I just learn. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Just go in here.
You know, when we were growing up, when I was growing up in the 50s, they had it on TV, Russian chess, or chess games, and they tour the world.
Yeah.
Trying to find the best chess players. I swear I saw Stanley Kubrick over that.
Probably so. Hey, Shelley, you take care of yourself. It was good to see you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
She really nice.
Yeah, it's real cool.
She talked a lot about the musical that she was in. I think it was about 1990. I think Paul Simon was in it too. I think it was the Mother Goose one. It was one that like I even brought up on YouTube in front of her, and she had like this huge smile on her face, just seeing herself like singing. It was the one that she met her current boyfriend on. But yeah, she had talked about that, and she's like really highly recommended for me to watch it. And she's like, you got to show your son this. I found the title. So it's Mother Goose Rock and Rhyme, 1990.
Not too far away, there's a place called Rhineland, home to some pretty interesting characters.
I'm Little Bo Peep and I've lost my sheep and I don't know where to find them.
It's a place where Mother Goose rules the roost and classic fairy tales come to life like never before.
Hi, Humpty. Long time no see.
So come along as we travel to Rhineland in a magical musical video adventure from Shelley Duvall. Mother Goose Rock and Rhyme. When Mother Goose winds up missing,
you've got
to save me.
It's up to Little Bo Peep and friends to find her before all the stories in Rhineland disappear.
It's a very woolly emergency.
Join in on the search with Little Miss Muffet,
Can I fluff your tuffet?
Jack and Jill,
Unfortunately, there are a couple of klutzes.
and many, many more. Don't miss all your favorite stars, starring as all your favorite fairy tale friends. Get ready for music and mayhem, brought to you by the one and only Shelley Duvall.
Great!
Don't miss Shelley Duvall's Mother Goose Rock and Rhyme, now available on home video from Lyric Studios.
That was the one that she was like, you got to see this one. And then I was like, oh, and we saw like some of the scenes and she's like, that's it. And she just like smiled the whole time. We were watching like some of the scenes. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to watch that because I never saw any of the fairy tale type stuff. And she was obviously very passionate about all that children's TV stuff and children's films. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't really aware of that period of her career.
Yeah. I wasn't either. But it's really cool.
I don't know if this was in where I read this, but she was telling a fairy tale. Oh, on Popeye. She was telling a fairy tale to Robin Williams. And that's when she realized she would like to do a series on fairy tales.
Yeah, because she thought he'd make a good frog, didn't she? She thought she was working with Robin on Popeye, that's right, in 1980. And she was also very, very much reading these fairy tales at the time. And I think she was just reading The Frog Prince, one of the fairy tales. So she had that in her mind while she was talking to Robin Williams, and she said, "You'd make a great Frog Prince." And that's seemingly how the whole TV series started. She just thought Robin had make a good frog.
Yeah, no, he would have totally made a good one. That would have been the right time period too.
I was going to say, I think that was the first episode, The Frog Prince. I think that was the first one that they made.
So many stars involved in that. John found Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, that's right.
Big bad.
I didn't even know about that.
And then I think Coppola directed an episode.
Oh, wow.
Pretty sociable. Like she knew a lot of people, liked people. Do you have any other impressions of her from that time you spent with her that were new, that surprised you? Or just...
I would say just like the whole time I was real captivated just talking with her. You know, my main focus was I wanted to talk about like Stanley Kubrick and how her time was with him on set. But just out of the short day into the night that we had spent, really got to know her as like a person and how she was like, her personality, her film career, you know, talking about animals and stuff. She had talked about like deer that she would feed by hand at her house. And I thought that was like real special because those animals are, everybody knows they're real timid. They'll run first sight. You know, she's over here feeding them out of her hand. So yeah, she's just a wonderful person. You know, she'll be dearly missed. Like towards the end too, like when we were about ready to head out, she seemed like real somber. And I had assured her that, you know, Shelley, you're real loved and cared all over the world, you know, and, you know, you should just always know that. And she just had like the sweetest look on her face and said, thank you. And me and Joe gave her a big hug, and that's when we departed.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I did love seeing or hearing Shelley in a purely social engagement, being herself. And yeah, the things you captured about how she lives, what she enjoys doing. That wouldn't come across in a formal interview as well as it did.
Yeah.
Sharing a meal together. I was just, how big an impression. I've only ever seen her a million times in The Shining, but you know, that's a lot of time I spent with Shelley Duvall in a high stress situation. And so she looms large in my brain. There's a Shelley Duvall's face.
Yeah.
Glad that told her how much we appreciate her. Cause somebody asked me, or somebody claimed, well, if they couldn't get Shelley, we would have got used to whoever else was in that role. And I thought, I never thought about that. But I don't, I mean, Shelley.
No, there was, she made the film.
Yeah.
She, in my opinion, she stole the show.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Jack was just Jack. He's always Jack. But Shelley was like something new that we hadn't seen. And she sells all the terror that's in that film. You experience her. Because the other characters are, Jack's crazy and Danny is very remote. She's the only one that we're all with, and we feel it all through her.
Yeah, exactly.
Next, Mark caught up with award-winning director and Shining enthusiast extraordinaire Lee Unkrich on the 23rd of July of 2024 to talk about Shelley. Lee, initially known as an award-winning Pixar film director, is more recently known for, of course, his obsession with The Shining. Lee produced the humongous tome Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, a 12 years in the making, 2,200-page account of the creation of Kubrick's film, which Taschen released in 2023.
I spent a day with Shelley as well back several years ago, probably at the same restaurant at a Red Lobster. Which is where she liked to go. But yeah, I'm really grateful that I got to spend that time with her and then subsequent time after that.
I just finished the Abrams Culker biography of Kubrick.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, they were tough on Shelley. Kubrick was tough on Shelley because he felt like he needed to be. I felt like Shelley had a lot of toughness to her to stick it out no matter what, through thick and thin.
I mean, yeah, it was a tough experience for her, but not in the way that internet lore seems to want to make it. I mean, it kind of got to the point where it was described as if Stanley Kubrick was abusing her on a daily basis, and that's just like, it's very untrue. My feeling about this topic is the only person that should really be speaking about the experience is Shelley herself. And so I'm glad that I was able to discuss that topic with her, and other people have as well. And in every case, Shelley says about the same thing, which is that she loved working with Stanley. She thinks that he got an amazing performance out of her. She learned a lot from him. She treasures that experience. And at the same time, she can talk about how it was difficult and it was grueling at times. Not about how she was treated, but just about the pitch of hysteria and the emotional state she needed to work herself into on almost a daily basis for months on end. Did Stanley get frustrated with her at times? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Stanley got frustrated with lots of people. What happened with Shelley is that some of those moments happened to get captured by Vivian Kubrick in her documentary. And people have extrapolated out that if there were moments like those, that must have been her day-to-day experience. And that's just not the case. She was young when she was on the film. She was, I think, around 28 years old when she was filming. So, and she had relatively little experience. She'd been in some films, but they were all Robert Altman films, which were that was a very particular working environment and very actor-centric productions. And I think she was really protected on those, or at least had a limited sense of what it meant to be in a big film. And so joining this huge production with the powerhouses of Kubrick and Jack Nicholson, she was kind of thrown into the deep end. And there were a lot of challenges in that regard that made the experience kind of difficult for her. But it's not like she was, I don't know, anybody who knows anything about how movies are made know that, the actors aren't living the experience of being in the film. They're professionals who are being paid, who are showing up on a set and and doing their job for a limited number of hours each day. And then they have their lives and their social lives outside the bounds of making a movie. And Shelley was no exception. Shelley was friends with the guys in Monty Python and socialized with them a lot. She was dating Ringo Starr for a time while she was on The Shining and jetting off to his vacation home in Monaco. So she was not, I think if she was driven crazy by anything, I think it's that the production just went on so long. But that was the case for everybody on that show.
Mm.
So, sorry, I was rambling a little bit, but I always feel necessary to come to her defense about a lot of things that are said on the internet, because I think they're unfair to Stanley Kubrick and they're unfair to Shelley because they don't reflect the reality of her experience on that movie.
The last time I lost my temper at someone was when they said, "Oh, Stanley Kubrick was horrible to Shelley." I immediately saw red just because you hear that so much. Yeah, I think.
Again, they're basing it upon a couple of clips.
Right.
From Vivian's film, which were honestly the one where he is really cross with her, where she misses a cue and doesn't come out the door. That was a scene that was right near the end of production. Jack Nicholson had already finished his part and had left, and they were just filming the last few bits and bobs with Shelley and Danny and Scatman Crothers, and the crew was very crispy at that point. Everyone was exhausted, and that was a very, very complicated shot that they had spent hours setting up and trying to get just right with the wind machines and the snow, and Shelley missed a cue, and Stanley was frustrated.
I stand by, boys. Okay, Malcolm? All right, roll video.
Get out, Peter.
Video speed, Stanley. Right, clear back, boys. Okay, turning, Doug?
No, wait a minute. I forgot it. Hold it.
Cut it. Keep it rolling.
Keep the video rolling.
Right. Keep video rolling.
Reduce the smoke a little, Alan.
Reduce the smoke a little bit, Al.
Okay, turn over.
Okay, turn over. All right, roll video and action, Shelley.
Action, Shelley! Cut it.
Nobody even said roll
There's
video.
no desperation. Oh, come on. What do you mean roll
2
video?
seconds.
We're fucking killing ourselves out here, and you're going to be ready.
I am too. I'm standing
So we
right
play
by
mood
the
music?
door. No, I
Yeah,
can't
but when
hear.
you came in like this, you said just.
We're sitting there because they say, wait a minute, and then you say on the radio,
But when you
go.
do it, you've got to look desperate, Shelley. You're just wasting everybody's time there.
I can't even get
Well,
this
bring
fucking
it
door
against
open.
it.
On the record, I got such a bollocking because they said, turn over, and they said, video rolling and all that, and I got all ready, and jumped up and down, and then they said, never mind, cut it. And then I went to take a bite of soup. The next thing I know, action, Shelley. So.
I don't think he's being particularly cruel to her there. I think that he's just expressing frustration, and she's fighting back. But again, people have taken that in one other moment in the documentary and have said, "Oh, Stanley was this horrible, abusive director." And Stanley's just not like that. He was very kind, and he had great relationships with his actors. He loved Danny, I just think it's like anything. Film sets can be stressful and tempers can flare up from time to time. But again, that doesn't reflect the totality of anyone's experience on that film.
In your book, you mentioned that she cried at the end of the production because as hard as it was, it was still a work they were all engaged in together. And
yeah, anytime a production comes together like that, it's like family. It's like a circus family. It's like all these kind of different people come together in this crucible for a period of time, and there can be intense relationships and experiences, but then it all comes to an end and everybody disperses, and that can be emotional in of itself.
Yeah. When you were first watching the movie, did Shelley make a special impression on you?
I mean, I first saw the film when I was just 12 years old, almost 13. So I don't have, unfortunately, a lot of memories specifically about seeing it that first time, other than that it really kind of captured my imagination and I started to think about it a lot. And, Shelley would have been a part of that. I do remember that I always saw Shelley as I always felt a lot of empathy for her characterization of Wendy. I saw the movie in theaters when it first came out, and then I saw it mostly solo on video for years after that, or showing it to my friends. And so it was a very small experience, and my experience was my own. And my memory of it is that I never had any thoughts about Shelley being a bad actress or about the character being weak. I just remembered having empathy for the character. And it wasn't until I went to college to go to film school at USC that I saw The Shining in a screening on campus my freshman year. And I was kind of taken aback by people laughing at her, when she appeared on screen, just her look in that scene with Ann Jackson with the doctor, where she's smoking the infamous cigarette. People were laughing, and I didn't get it. And actually, there were moments throughout the film that people were laughing that I was kind of taken aback at first, because I think at that younger age, I didn't quite see the humor that is in the film. But I didn't like that. I remember not liking that they were laughing at her because of how she looked. That's a very specific memory I have. I mean, Shelley was not a traditionally beautiful actress. And by traditionally, I mean just in terms of, modern beauty standards or even beauty standards of the time. But she was still a very beautiful woman, a very unique woman. There was nobody like her. And I think that's part of what Stanley really loved about her. I think he also knew he needed to cast someone who the audience could understand why she would have stayed with Jack. Stephen King often complains about Shelley being cast in that film because his imagination of the character who he created, fair enough, was that she was a very strong woman. But I think Stanley wanted something more realistic in terms of understanding why a woman would stay with an alcoholic, abusive husband like Jack. And in his mind, it meant that Shelley needed to be weaker somehow. Although ironically, when people talk about Shelley's performance of Wendy being weak, I have to point out that she's the hero of the movie. She saves herself, she saves her son's life, and they survive at the end. And it's because of her strength. So is she weak? I mean, if she was strong and not crying throughout that film, would we feel anything for her? Would we be scared for her? I was talking to Steven Spielberg for the book, and he pointed out something that I thought was very apt, which is that because Shelley is her performance is of a woman so scared and frightened and helpless throughout the film, you kind of have to have that for there to be any tension at the end as to whether she's going to be able to do anything and save Danny. If she were strong, it would not be the same experience. So it was a choice, a very intentional choice by Kubrick, and then ultimately kind of through the mind and performance of Shelley that makes that all a success. Spielberg said to me that he felt that Shelley Duvall's performance was equal to Jack's in that film, and Jack's was equal to Shelley's. And I shared that with her. And it was very moving for her to hear that, because she had spent decades hearing people talk about how awful her performance was in that film, and getting the Razzie that year for Worst Actress. And it was just so completely unfair. And so I'm glad that she lived long enough to experience this resurgence of a newfound respect for her and for her performance in that part. And it was very, very important to her, I know.
I remember the coverage at the time. Yeah, it was, and reading her disappointment after she gave her all to this film, and then her performance was even barely mentioned, or right, she got the Razzie. And I felt bad for her way back in 1980. But what you said, yeah, had she been this strong woman, I would have thought, like, I was absolutely terrified when she went into the bathroom, because we know from the visions, the bathroom, there's going to be a murder. That's the last place she should have gone. And then when she's screaming in the bathroom, it's her. I absolutely felt her terror with her. Like, what a horrible place to be in. Like, because she could communicate through tears and hysteria convincingly, that transmitted to my experience of that. That's why the film is so terrifying.
Of course. And like, none of us can, who are we to judge how someone would behave in a situation like that if we haven't been in a situation like that? And I mean, she's got her husband is like gone crazy, is trying to kill her, trying to kill her son. And of course she would be completely hysterical and beside herself and freaked out because she's cut off, she's isolated, she has no way of communicating with the outside world. To me, it's actually a very realistic performance. Maybe it's not a kind of a traditional movie performance, but it's very real. Even Jack Nicholson talked about preparing for what he needed to do in that scene, coming through the door with the axe. He didn't really know how to play it, because he said, like, how can anyone know how to play someone being in a situation like that? You're going out on a limb and just trying things and trying to keep it kind of as real as possible and as frightening as possible. But we don't know. It's not like we can't tap into life experience for playing a moment like that.
Right.
Unless we've done something like that. Right.
I agree that I felt it was realistic to how a regular person would process, work their way to understanding that their husband is in fact homicidal. It takes a while to get yourself to realize that. And then how she just held it together throughout the whole last half hour of the movie.
Right. Or not. She doesn't really hold it together, but yeah, it feels real. To me, I don't see her as being weak. I see her as being realistic, and it's the fact that she's so freaked out and seemingly helpless that allows there to be tension in the back part of the film.
Yeah.
Because those are the only stakes, right? The stakes are, is Danny going to be killed or not? Those are the stakes of the end of that film. Danny, he ends up being pretty resourceful and helping himself. But ultimately, he needs his mom, and she ultimately is there for him, despite everything the hotel's throwing at her, trying to slow her down and keep her away.
And Danny and Jack both are kind of remote characters from the audience compared to Shelley.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Shelley, I feel like she is our representative in the film, feeling things the way we would feel them.
So Shelley, you're right. She showed up. She did the best job she could on that film. She worked really, really hard, and I know it was a disappointment for her. But again, thankfully, the film became a classic over time, and her performance was reevaluated. And, for the last, 15 years or so, at least, I think her part in that film, her contribution is now greatly respected. And even though sadly Shelley's not with us anymore, I know that respect will persist.
Any final thoughts about her?
No, I got to spend another day with her at the end of April. I was at her home, at her bedside. Shelley had been suffering for a while, and I wanted to give her a copy of my book, but I didn't want to just send it in the mail. I wanted to actually show it to her, and it took a while to coordinate that. But I was able to take the book to her and sat with her at her bedside and leafed through the book with her, and she shared memories, and it was really a beautiful day. And she signed my book for me the best she was able because she was very weak. And her boyfriend, Dan, subsequently shared with me that was the last thing she ever wrote, was signing my book, which I will forever treasure. And she sent me a voicemail last month, which is the last I heard from her. And I can play it if you'd like. It's just very short and sweet. I think it'll hopefully come through here, and if it doesn't, I'm happy to send you the file.
Hi, Lee. It's Shelley Duvall. I just wanted to thank you again for the beautiful book that you put together. And, anytime, just call, and if you want to make an appointment, we can get together and have lunch. Thanks.
So that was the last I heard from Shelley. Like I said, she'd been suffering for a long time, and so I'm glad she's not suffering anymore. Not just from her recent physical ailments, but her mental health situation had been difficult for a long time, and her boyfriend Dan shared with me that she was flying free now, and that just sums it up. She was very held down and held back for a very long time, and now she's free. And we can just be thankful for all the beautiful gifts she left behind.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I love that voicemail too.
Hey. Okay. Well, thanks so much for listening, everyone. We really do appreciate you. There is more to come from Kubrick's universe, so keep subscribed, Kubrick fans. On behalf of our producer and general bon vivant, Stephen Rigg, I'd also like to thank Mark Lentz and David Constantine for their invaluable contributions. I'm your host and humble narrator, Jason Furlong, signing off. And Shelley, thanks for everything. We'll see you on the other side of the Stargate.
It's Kubrick's universe. We just live in it.
We have taken very thorough precautions in this podcast against broadcasting anything which might only be attributed to human error.
These guys aren't scientists. They're making it up as they go along.
Thank you for listening to the Stanley Kubrick podcast. Come back soon.
It was real nice talking to you. Bye. Over and out.
This show comes to you from the Stanley Kubrick Appreciation Society.